All right, artists. Now that we've learned a little bit about architecture and what that is, and we've reviewed all of our geometric shapes and lines in order to help us with our architecture elements for our buildings today, let's go ahead and look at some examples. Okay. So as you guys can see, there are several different colors that you could choose to do your monochromatic color scheme in the sky. Remember, that's going to be darkest to lightest behind your city buildings. Okay. You have the option of adding snow. Since we've had a lot of snow lately, you could do snowflakes falling on your cityscape. Okay. So let's go ahead and start by getting that marker out. Okay. Now you guys can have up your Canvas page to look at the architecture elements if you'd like. Now, you really get to decide how much detail you want on these. So I'm going to have you start by drawing at least 5 or more building shapes at the bottom of your paper. So your paper should be portrait style up and down. And we're going to focus here on the bottom. Okay. So I'm going to start with my first building, which I'm going to start with a long rectangle, and I can build up the shape of the roof, making it smaller and smaller stacks. So I've got the overall shape of that building, and then I can come back and add details. So then my next building, I could keep a little space in between it, and maybe there's one that's going to be smaller here. I'm going to make this one a little bit taller. So 2 parallel lines that are vertical up and down. Then we've got a horizontal line that connects it. We could have a triangle shaped roof for this one. Let's have a little line here. Okay. And then my next one, I could have a little bit shorter of a building. This one could have maybe a curvy top to it, almost like ice cream. And then my last one, I think I want to make a little dome, like a Renaissance style. So it curves on top and it comes down. So now that I have my overall shapes for my buildings, the next step is going to be to come back in and add the details of my windows and my doors. Okay, so this is when that little guidelines for architecture elements could come in handy. So I might start with this one here, and I'm going to do a curved arch door. I could have a little knob. I can have other shapes on this door, squares, a little window at the top. Ta-da! So I've got my little door there. I could have square windows and maybe a rectangle edge there. Looks like I can fit 3. Maybe a line through the center and then across. Okay. I could add a fun little flag on the top here if I want to. And remember, we want to create visual texture of maybe bricks or stone on some of these buildings. So I could have some fun stones that are organic shapes. So it's stone-like. So remember our organic shapes, ovals, curvy stone. Yeah, that looks awesome. Okay. I could come over here and add, maybe this is gonna be a really elongated rectangle door. Doop. And inside that door, I could have some other long rectangles. And a doorknob. Awesome. This one could have a really awesome curved window at the top with lots of window pane lines that cross over each other. And you could do some shingles, like the top texture of the roof. Maybe you could do little half circles that kind of cross over each other. Almost like fish scales. Ta-da! You could have this roof look like ice cream. We could have this one have some more fun little windows that curve. Some fun little window covers off to the side. Maybe we could just have a plain door on this one. That's a rectangle with maybe a little circle window on it. Let's have a little window here on this guy. It looks like it's behind, doesn't it? Then we could have a triangle window. Another little smaller oval door with another little oval window and a doorknob. We haven't done very many circle windows. We could do some little circle windows on this one. And there could be some little X's through it. And maybe, remember brick, long brick, maybe one of these. Let's do this one with bricks in the background. So what I would do just some stripes first. And then to make it look like brick, you have other lines that go through it. Like so, vertical. So everybody's buildings are gonna look a little bit different, but as long as you kind of follow along and you do shapes that you know, like the rectangles, triangles, curved lines, organic shapes for stone. So you guys, the next step after this is to create the monochromatic color scheme. So pick what color you want, like I showed you in those examples. It could be blue, it could be orange, yellow, pink, green. I'm gonna do mine blue. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I could, if I want to, take the paper off one of my crowns You could also do this with a color pencil. I suggest not coloring it with marker because it will look too streaky. So let's try this with crowns, okay? So what do we do again to make it a dark blue if we're using blue? How do we make it really dark? You're right, you have to press down harder to make it a darker blue. So at the top of your paper, if we're going to dark to light, we want to press down much harder at the top of our paper to make a really bright dark blue, going side to side in a horizontal motion. So that's our darkest blue, okay? So then I am gonna start picking up my pressure of my crown. And you see I'm using the side of the body of the crown to really start lifting up the pressure and getting lighter and lighter as I get closer to the buildings. So lighter, harder, 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 harder as I go up. Lighter, lighter, lighter. Harder pressure. So ta-da! So we got it from dark to light, okay? The next thing, you guys, we want to add a light source. So maybe the moon or the sun is shining this direction. And we're going to use that same color to add a little bit of highlight on one side of our building. So along the side of the door, the window, and the buildings, to really add a nice highlight. So got the top of the roof, the side of the window, the side of the building, side of the door. Ta-da! Awesome. And remember, like I said, if you wanted it to be snowy, you could add a couple little snowflakes. Maybe you have some white paint. You could come back and do some white snowflakes. Or you could even cut some itty bitty baby snowflakes out and glue them down to your background. Awesome. I hope you guys had fun with these. I can't wait to see them. Good job.